High vibrations, sweet babies. Ooh, okay. I have a reading for you, and this one is a little bit deeper than I was kind of anticipating for reading the cards as we go into 12/12. I, being a Sagittarius, want to just tap into travel, fun, exploration mode, but what's really being asked of my energy is just not that this time of year and this year in particular. I think right now there's a lot of emphasis on what's going on beneath the surface and under the surface, and that being really what needs the attention, because as we know, collective, when it comes to what's going on below, as above, so below. So it's going to start reflecting in our external world around us. We knew this. We've been really planting seeds. We've been aligning ourselves, but I feel like there's something that's been coming up as of recently, and it's been bubbling beneath the surface. And it's asking to be addressed. Right here in the cards, things need to be addressed. It's asking to be let go of. It's asking to be surrendered to, because 12/12 and all of the Sagittarius season is how we can expand. What are we bringing into our next wheel of the season that we want to actually see be fruitful and expand? And in the cards, I like to keep it real. There's definitely this energy of suppression. Something's being suppressed, not being talked about. There's this feeling of not being able to actually speak on a specific thing. And with me, friends, I am part of this collective with you, so this is very much resonant for me as well. And when I sit down with my cards, it's always giving me an opportunity to reflect and make sense of what I'm going through. And hopefully you'll continue to find some insights, some soul food for thought for yourselves as I share it. So yeah, a couple different symbols here regarding letting something go. And I will say, I know you collective don't want to hear this because of the journey we've all been on, but there is a lot of indications of repeated cycles. Something being shown that has to do with cycles, patterns, things you've seen before, things that feel familiar. And I will say that you're seeing it with a new lens, with a new perspective, and this is really significant to the work that you have done, the healing that you have done. And right now that is actually what's important to you, is trying to find flow and surrender to your journey and let it be as healing as possible. But we are spiritual beings living a human experience, and with that experience there is often disruption, things that can cause turbulence on that journey. And it seems like we've got 11s showing up, a lot of 11s. This could be towards the 11/11 portal that we did some groovy, juicy work through. And maybe whatever those intentions were, things that you were wishing upon, or more specifically, when we work with the Magician Tarot card, what were the illusions that were being shown to us? What were the things that we had disillusionment around, and maybe some head in the clouds energy around? The cards here say that there's distractions, and there needs to be an end to that, because it is distracting you from I want to say that it's not even a distraction, it's more of an escapism. And it's a way to avoid doing the difficult stuff that would really and truly bring an ending to a cycle or to a pattern that's necessary, that you probably recognize through the 1111 portal, that you need to let go of in order for something new to take shape in your life. And this is the time for that, right? Like, we're going to be stepping into this beautiful space and environment of expansion. And we can be very intentional around that, but sometimes it's difficult to recognize what is taking up space. And that can show up in a lot of different ways. So, as we move out of the shadowy period of Mercury retrograde, where it's sometimes a little finicky during that time. In a previous reading, I did mention how risky choices, dicey choices, taking a gamble on things has shown up for the collective as something that needs to be worked through. And I do feel like that is still sort of relevant, and maybe where you're seeing you need to place a little bit more, give it time. This is something you need to give more time to, because as nice as it would be to just recognize the pattern and then just be like, I'm done with it, it's not really how that works. And there might be a little bit of distance you have to go with this. I will say that it also feels like emotional distance might be a part of this. Sometimes maybe even feelings of being frozen or struggling to communicate. So, this time, as much as it would be nice to just, set the intention, make the vision board, do a cute little tea ceremony, this feels more about being real with what's going on internally. And actually, the moon card came out specifically to emphasize this. It's our emotional world, it's our inner world, it's the inner cycle of our life that's needing some reflection at the moment. And I think right now, being able to recognize what's going on in the internal world is really going to make a difference in what kind of doors open up for you moving forward. Doors has been significant for us collective for a while now. And also keys could be a symbol for the collective. Just want to remind you that you're on the right path, even if this part feels really deep and emotional and requiring you to look at things that sometimes are difficult to look at. This is where we have to place that, step into that mindset of surrender, and not only just trust, but trust in yourself, that you've gotten this far on your journey and that you are still on your journey. And that I've said this before in other readings, if you're starting to see the patterns, if you're starting to recognize the behavior, if you're starting to have that awareness of something, it's because your brain is ready to work through it. You couldn't see it before, you couldn't recognize it before because it was too much, and you felt maybe on an subconscious, unconscious level that you were not equipped to handle it. So therefore your brain was not able to really even see it for itself. But now you're noticing it, you're seeing it, because you have the tools and the capacity to address it, handle it. And I feel like, so I'm not really sure what your intentions were. If you did that 1111 manifestation ritual that I recommended, I hope it was delicious and yummy and helpful for your journey. And if you did not, that's okay. You probably were still setting intentions, whether you were aware of it or not. So consider that time. Consider what things you were wishing for, hoping for, feeling like you needed to see more clearly around, needed clarity or guidance around. I'm willing to bet that this has to do with somebody else, involving someone else. This may have to do with someone you care intimately for, someone that you have had some really deep conversations with, someone you've had to maybe work through cycles with. And I will say that there is an involvement of a third party energy. So this is something that may have brought up hurtful words. There may have been tense moments. It may even feel like there was times of sabotage. And there is a lot of indication here where it is time for that to end and to be let go. There is a new beginning that you need to make room for, and it's on its way to you now. That's what the card says. Isn't that so inspiring? I see that earth signs may be significant, more in particular Capricorn or Taurus. Yeah, but something, maybe specific words that were said has been lingering in your mind, specific conversations that made you think about something differently, or something that was said to you that was just really hurtful. And not only is this about surrendering and letting go, but it's also about making room for the idea that it can transform into something new. Sometimes the idea of letting go is scary because we feel like we have to experience a loss of some kind, but when we really are able to come from a place of surrender, we are able to then make room for something taking an entirely new shape. And that can't happen without placing trust in your journey and just saying, I let it go. You could say, I give it up to God. I surrender to my journey. The universe is always conspiring in my favor, whatever you need to subscribe to. But let that start to be your modality of just whatever these cycles are that have been showing up for you, things that you want to see end, things that feel like they were a sabotage for your journey and maybe a distraction for your journey in the past. I just feel like the underlying energy here is to maybe now just trust in, now that you've let it go or it's being let go, that there is so much room for something beautiful to take its shape. So, like I said, there was a lot of symbols for cycles, but again, collective, if you've been grooving with me for a while now, we know that cycles represent something ending and something beginning, like in the same breath, in the same exact moment. When something ends, that means there's a new beginning. So whatever it is that is being asked to be a cycle, being asked to be a cycle breaker, right? You're being asked to address a cycle, a pattern, something that maybe it's yours, maybe it sometimes I will say, like, this seems like familial patterns, ancestral patterns, like, epigenetics that pass things down that we weren't even aware of. But this feels like, if I'm being completely honest, honey, this belongs to you, which is a little bit easier to address because you don't have to work through the stories of everyone that came before you. This is your own story, and what beliefs, limiting beliefs, you bring to the equation that is keeping you from feeling like the doors are opening, opportunities showing up for you. And like I said, this feels particularly around the intention that was set around the 1111 portal. So, wasn't necessarily expecting this to be the underlying energy when I was pulling for what the collective needs to hear as we go through 1212. I definitely wanted to be a little more flirty and funky and fresh, but you know, the cards come out however they want to come out. So instead, what I'm going to do is recommend a little bit more of a reflective practice for you as you go through 1212. So I would really recommend that you take stock. So sit, take time, take stock over what your last year has been, right? Like, this is my solar return, so it's always like, it just works out that I can kind of plan or reflect on my past year and then plan for, okay, my new lap around the sun, what am I gonna do? What's good? But I think December as a whole can be that beautiful reflective time for anybody to just consider the last year. Do some journaling or just some sitting and thinking about things that you needed to celebrate a little bit more. What were wins that were not celebrated as deeply as they should have been? What things in your life were like the main issues or the main themes of disruption for you that you were struggling with, right? Because a lot of people use the new year as a time for resolution, but I don't think we should wait until the new year to resolve things. I think it's a better practice to work on resolving things, to start that new year in a fresh, clear space. So reflect, journal around who you were able to rely on the most in the last year. Who were the people that you were able to really open up and share? What people in your life deserve thank yous from the past year? Notice what things have changed for you, what mindsets or beliefs or habits have changed in the last year, whether they're for good or for not so good. But taking stock of all of these things can really help you paint a picture of how you want to step into this next year. And once you've kind of reflected on those things, I would probably do a nice meditation of like just clearing your energy, clearing your field, clearing, just letting it go, right? Just this energy of surrender that's showing up in the cards, of just letting flow, letting go, and welcome that into your energetic experience, so that when you're able to expand your ideas, what you want for yourself, what things you need more of in your life, what things you just want for yourself, you can operate from a place of clarity and expansion. It's very difficult to find things attracting into your experience or taking shape in your life when you're in a disharmonious state. So bringing yourself back into that place of like inner balance will help you align with things that you actually want in your life just more easily. Let's see. This is just very much like a deeper reflective time. So I'm trying to utilize that energy instead of the woohoo, let's manifest a party. Yeah. And then maybe it would be a powerful reflective practice to think about all the cycles that you have broken in your life. to remind yourself of the fact that it's possible. You've done it before and you've accomplished a lot, which means that you have set out for your own journey, your own path, and you've done so very intentionally. Not only that, but then build belief in the cycles that you're struggling with now, or that you're seeing show up for you now, or that have ended, but you want to feel that concrete finality of it. Listen to other people's stories. Listen to people who have come from similar struggles or dealt with similar, the word afflictions wanted to come out, dealt with similar patterns, and how they were able to turn that all around. It's very inspiring to hear people who have similar stories as you to achieve things that you want for yourself. But not only that, listen to how many times people fail. Listen to the times that they have had to get back up after they feel like they've been knocked down. And listen, and I know this was relevant for the last reading and the collective in the last reading, but when people have lost it all, when they have lost literally everything, and yet they still kept going, and what they were able to create for themselves, things like that are really powerful. This could be involving a home life or just the feeling of stability in general for you, collective. Self-love is very, very crucial at this time. Not just self-care, but self-love. How are you talking to yourself? And how are you speaking about yourself? How are you truly in relationship with yourself? Because just like we were talking about before, the internal world definitely drastically shapes our external world, and I want to see a lot of love for yourself expand throughout the month of December. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at that, friends. I am sending you lots of love in, and I will talk to you soon.